us now. Rosa, how is Mexico responding to what we're hearing from the incoming Trump administration about how they plan to crack down on the border and carry out these mass deportations?
Well, very sternly. As a matter of fact, Mexico's president held a press conference this morning in response to President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Mexico, actually. But Jim, as you know, all of these things are intermingled. Mexico's president was very firm. She called out President-elect Donald Trump, saying that both Mexico and the United States collaborate on a lot of different levels, including economically. And in other words, she said that she's ready to respond in kind. Let me read to you a portion of that letter that she sent to President-elect Donald Trump. She said, quote, "President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will solve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Cooperation and shared understandings are required to face these important challenges. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response." I'm going to read that one more time because these are very important words from Mexico's president. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk.
Here's the thing. 80%, if I'm not mistaken, because I did a little bit of research on this, and over 80% of the things that Mexico ship comes directly into the United States of America. Now, I explained this on the Millionaire Morning Show this morning, so you might want to tap in. You might want to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. But there is a migrant caravan that is on its way right now. And Trump basically said, listen, your administration and your police officers and your border patrol and everybody is actually helping these people get to the United States of America. You basically giving people unfettered access to come into the United States of America by way of Mexico, flying into your country, and then letting them walk right on over without protecting your country, which then ultimately affects what happens here in the United States of America. You're letting drug cartels run drugs over here. You're letting them have human trafficking. You're letting China basically circumvent the tariffs that we're putting on them in order to get through Mexico. And so they basically leveraging you and they're using you in order to continue to run stuff up in the United States of America. And it's not beneficial to us or the taxpayers. And it costs us more money while we're trying to deport these people and you making it easy for them to come over here. And so the cartels is running wild. They're trying to understand. Basically, the Biden administration has let people do whatever they want to do and run roughshod over the United States of America. And it's time to start paying the piper. And so what Trump did is he said that we're going to put tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and additionally China in order to stop the flow of fentanyl into this country, to force y'all to protect your own country and your own borders. And until then, you're not going to benefit off of the American taxpayers because we already have a trade deficit. And then on top of that, you're basically letting illegal people run into this country and they're using you as a way to do so. Chinese have already responded with their automakers and their companies and saying, we're not building no more factories over in Mexico because Trump is not messing around and we need to hold ourselves accountable in order to really be able to abide by the laws and the rules in the United States of America. And I think that that's absolutely positively fair. 100% absolutely positively fair. And so she's trying to respond and show some level of force when in reality, we know that there's lopsided trade deficit. We know that they absolutely are using the Mexican border to get over here. And, you know, she can play tough if she wants to, but she was just at the G20 summit with Biden and they were smiling while Biden is walking over into the Amazon forest. And I don't know why we always get the bad end of the deal, but let's continue to see what they got to say.
Now, the tone of this letter is very important because Mexico's president is not just talking about tariffs, about the economic relationship with the United States, but also the border relationship with the United States, because Mexico has done a lot to help the Biden administration control the migration that is coming into the U.S. southern border.
Like let the caravans just walk right on over here, huh?
Border, which begs the question about What is happening on the U.S. southern border, given that Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming U.S. border czar, Tom Homan, are on the border today? Here's the reality. The migrant apprehension numbers are extremely low. I talked to a law enforcement source, Jim, who says that on Sunday, migrant apprehensions were about 1,500. If you compare that to December of 2023, when 10,000 people were crossing the border per day, that just gives you a sense of the dramatic change. The reality is, and I've talked to both.
And they're flying them over here now, but they're still coming straight through Mexico.
People on the ground, agents, and also advocates who work on the border, they say it is very quiet right now, very low, despite what you're hearing from Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Back to you.
All right, Rosa Flores, important.
It's funny because Tom Homan just said that they're about to hit the ground running and they're now waiting for the Biden administration or for the Trump administration to take office on January 20. He's already working with the Texas governor, but we're going to get to that in a completely different video.
Context. Thank you very much.
What do Americans want in terms of what are their top priorities for Trump? This is according to CBS News YouGov poll that came out. Their highest priority is lower prices. 79% of Americans want lower prices. Just 26% say put tariffs on imports. So his strategy here can undercut what voters want him to do.
Sure, but this, threatening tariff.
Whoa! What do we have here, buddy? Jesus Christ.
Particularly against Mexico and other Central American countries, was basically the central pillar of his diplomatic approach to migration when it came to this region. So yes, while those economic concerns are true, the president-elect he does gravitate towards immigration and migration as his primary issue. This is one of his basically go-to steps when it comes to his approach for these nations. The other thing that's not being talked about as much is sort of Mexico's response to this as well. In order to do many of those ambitious plans that the president-elect has been talking about, sweeping border restrictions, mass deportations, you also need somebody to take in those people that you're reporting, that being the Mexican government. They've been basically a collaborator and one of the prime reasons that the Biden administration has been able to drive down border crossings recently. And today, the Mexican government also issued a response to the president-elect.
Hey, just before you jump in, just to read that response from Claudia Sheinbaum, the Mexican.
We know what the response is. We just looked at it. The fact of the matter is, the biggest thing that Americans want is for people to stop taking advantage of taxpayers in the United States of America and its citizens. And we want to close off our borders. We're tired of people letting all of the most vile people get into office and then them assisting each other and pushing the worst of the worst into the United States of America. And so I'm actually happy and glad because one of the things that Trump did in his first term was renegotiate NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement, because obviously it was completely in the favor of Mexico and Canada. And now China and other countries are leveraging Mexico and their soft stance on taking care of business in order to basically circumvent what's going on inside the United States of America. But I'll stay on top of it. I'm definitely going to be giving y'all the insight and updates on what's happening. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Make sure you get your tickets to come and kick it with me in person. All of that is in the description. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.